Twiggs with advice to help overcome procrastination.
New music.
Next time I'll get it right, but for now I'll stay right here where I belong. If I make the same mistake twice, I'm old enough to know where I went wrong. Don't tell me what to say, I won't listen anyway. I'm waiting for it to hurt more, to stay the same. When I get through this storm, I'll find it on my own, and I'll mean it more than you'll ever know. Next time I'm getting it right. Will you believe me if I say this is the last time? Next time I'm getting it right. Will you believe me if I say this is the last time? Next time I'll get it right, but for now I'll stay right here where I belong. If I make the same mistake twice, I'm old enough to know where I went wrong. Don't tell me what to say, I won't listen anyway. I'm waiting for it to hurt more, to stay the same. When I get through this storm, I'll find it on my own, and I'll mean it more than you'll ever know. Next time I'm getting it right. Will you believe me if I say this is the last time? Next time I'm getting it right. Will you believe me if I say this is the last time? Next time I'm getting it right. Will you believe me if I say this is the last time? Next time I'm getting it right. Will you believe me if I say this is the last time?
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hi, Eric.
How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Welcome to Everyman Radio.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be on your show.
No, it's great. I listened to one of your podcasts. I was quite surprised. Surprised? Pleased. I suppose I say surprised because not many of the people I interview are that sophisticated that they have their own podcasts set up. Or maybe I think some do. Some are tech savvy. So I just think it's really cool. And I listened to some of your latest podcast, just to get a feel, just to hear your voice. And no, it's great to see how productive and active you are. I suppose just stepping back in this current climate is crazy. So in the UK, we have, just like it seems everywhere, really, a kind of global lockdown, which is driving everybody crazy, and my own view and the view of many others really is the lockdown will cause far more stress and illness and poor health to many people who cannot cope with the sudden loss of everything, it seems. So it's interesting, a very interesting time, and I hope that people really pick themselves up and overcome this. I find I just get really angry. A previous guest of mine, Brentley, I saw a great video of him. He put up on Facebook of him. I had a what are they called? Those a megaphone, is it? You put it on your mouth and you can shout and it gets really loud.
Megaphone.
And he was saying, "Oh, lots of things. End the lockdown." You're quite angry about it. I find I get really angry about it.
This is going to destroy our economy and put us all out of jobs. It threatens the food supply. It is very dangerous. Nobody has run this experiment. Sorry guys, I'm louder than you. End the shutdown. End the shutdown. Everybody needs to get back to work.
You know, no one wants to know you when you speak the truth. No one wants to know you. No one wants to know you when you speak the truth.
Sorry to interrupt. So I think this lockdown, it's frustrating. Yeah, it can make you upset. You can get depressed. But I also think it presents an opportunity. So, I mean, even if you look at my podcast, the 30-minute hour, before the lockdown, we were doing it all audio.
Okay.
So, you know, we were doing it from my co-host's office, and we had the microphones, and we were downloading it to the podcasting apps. But then they closed all the non-essential businesses. So we were forced to go video. So now we have, I mean, our audience has grown tenfold since the lockdown. And had it not been for the lockdown, we would have still just been doing audio. But we started doing these on Zoom, and, you know, our episodes are reaching 1,000 people at a time. And so but I think that's just a small example of how you have to kind of look at this as what is the opportunity, as opposed to focusing on this huge obstacle that's in front of us.
Yeah, that's good. I think the podcast I listened to of yours was, I think, exactly along those lines, really. I think you were comparing, if I'm right, two different businesses, one that was just really shut up shop and cried and suffered, and the other one took advantage and could see the opportunities and was actually making headway, making progress.
Yeah, I mean, in the exact same neighborhood, with the exact same challenges, with the exact same customer type. You know, one, they're having great success and the other one's struggling. But it's all in your attitude and it's all in your mindset. And I even said this on the podcast, that every crisis, it's got two components, right? You've got the danger, you got the fear, the risk, but you've also got the opportunity. And if you check the record, that half of the Fortune 500 companies that are out there now, they were started during some type of economic downturn.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know the specifics of that. I suppose the one that just sprang into my mind was Rice Krispies, cornflakes. Kellogg's.
Kellogg's, yeah.
I think that was used as a good example of, I think if I remember reading it right, Kellogg's, they went against the grain. I think the war had just, well, they were in between. I forget the specifics, but Kellogg's, unlike its competitors, started spending a lot of money on advertising. And I think they were one of the first really to really start getting their brand out and advertising, and did a miraculous job, really. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, it forces you to get creative when you're in a crisis. I know J.D. Rockefeller with Standard Oil. I know that was started during, I believe it was the Great Depression. Like he started a lot of his companies and had a lot of his success during all these different economic downturns throughout history, because everybody else was panicking and he was strategizing and looking for the opportunities. So I think people really need to seize the opportunity, even in this current crisis, which seems crazy. So,
yeah, I know that sounds fantastic. And so, Eric, then, just to, I was going to say recap, but we haven't done the introduction really. Please tell us, what is it you do? If that sounds a bit general, but where do you place yourself?
So, great question. So, I am your procrastination prevention partner. I'm the author of The Discipline of Now, 12 Practical Principles to Overcome Procrastination. So I help you to ditch the excuses, to beat procrastination so that you can make more money, get more done, and become aligned with your divine purpose. So that's really what I do. So I do that through the medium of this book, The Discipline of Now. I also do coaching sessions. I do workshops and keynote presentations.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I cannot help but make the joke you will have heard 1,000 times, but can't we just do this later? Look, I'm really busy. Of course.
Yeah, we'll get around to it, right?
Oh yeah, I just need to do something.
Right.
It's a brilliant topic because I think it affects almost everyone. And I think it's very, very hard for people to just break out of their natural pattern of putting things off. I suppose they kind of get away with it for so long, and some people become they just become renowned for it completely, and you know these people, and you just end up not trusting them, or you just trust them not to do whatever you want them to do, because you never get around to doing it. I'm sort of
and so, because people tell me all the time, well, Eric, you don't understand. I work better under pressure. And I call that justification for procrastination. So what happens, like you said, you get away with it, right? Mm-hmm. You wait till the last minute to do a presentation, and then after the presentation, people are patting you on the back saying you did a great job. So now you're saying, hey, you know what? I work better under pressure. But the problem is, if you're doing something that's creative, it's proven that it's going to be better if you start earlier. Because if you start on something early, it gives your ideas time to develop. You think of things you wouldn't have thought of. You're more creative. When you're at the last minute, you're just trying to get done. So yeah, people can pat you on the back, but and I always say, procrastination, it's a silent killer, because you don't realize the damage that you're doing by putting things off.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. And it's a very, very true point that you make. People, I'm just repeating what you said, really. People, because I've experienced it myself and I've done it. They say, I only work well under pressure, so I need a deadline, which, well, we kind of know doesn't make any sense, really. Because practically, as you say, if you give yourself the time and structure it properly, you can actually, be much more productive. I know what am I doing? Agreeing with you, but that's fascinating. I yeah, this has just made me think a lot, really. Just some of the things you've said. Yeah, I'm in a position where I am doing a lot of different sort of business avenues, business activities. Everyman Radio being one of them. This is my kind of downtime, really, in a way. Aside from the more businessy type businesses, that doesn't really make any sense. But less technical. So most of my work really is web hosting, technical, and meetings on and managing that, really. So I enjoy the podcast and discussing with people because I find it really gets me out of my day to day. I'm just kind of sort of ranting, really. One of the projects that I've got, actually, I developed an app based on the work of Benjamin Franklin. So you would know Benjamin Franklin, of course. Mm-hmm. And the app that has now been finished by developers that I hired to make it, the app of virtue, is essentially using his card system back from 200 years ago, but making it sort of an app. But it's just one of the projects that I am currently working on. And the idea is eradicating drinking and all of the negative traits and things, and just having a guide, really, on your phone that can actually help you. I'll have to send you a link. And so, please tell us then more about how did you wrote this book, and then how did it spin off to the sort of the podcasting you're doing now? How did that develop? And
so, the book, I was interviewed a lot on different podcasts. I'm still getting interviewed for people that want to talk about the book, and I do a lot of speaking engagements. And the podcast just kind of naturally evolved because of my co-host Ted Fells and I. Ted is the CEO of an IT company, been very successful for a long time. He and I are personal friends, and we would always say, you know what, we have to find a way to work together. And we're like, yeah, that'd be a great idea. And then finally one day, he just cornered me. I'm like, look, let's meet at Starbucks tonight at 6:00. We're gonna do this. And so we sat down, and then we said, what about a podcast? Ooh, I don't know. That sounds too technical. Ooh, I don't know. And then we partnered with someone else who's more of a, IT guy that knows how to set things up. And we started talking and game planning, and here we are. So it just really evolved over time. And I really enjoy it. Like I look forward to it every week when we do it. And it's just evolved over time. But the good thing is that it's just another platform to help me to get the message out. And I do, I'm able to touch on overcoming procrastination and some of those things as well, in addition to other topics that we talk about.
Okay. And what sort of other topics do you end up discussing with your people you interview? Or it's inspirational. And, and the interesting thing is, we talk to people, we interview people that are just doing like amazing things. I mean, they are running businesses, they've authored 5 books, they're running a marathon. They're doing like 4 or 5 like amazing things at the same time. And we always ask, one of the questions we always ask is, tell us about your day. What time do you get up to what time do you go to bed? And without fail, every successful person we have on the podcast, they are intentional, and they've got everything scheduled.
They've got routines. They're like, look, I wake up at 5 a.m., then I meditate, then I read, and then I go exercise for 30 minutes. And then I go start writing my blog. And then it's like every person. So that's one of the things that's really come out of this is you really start to see what do successful people have in common. And the other thing is I talk to people all the time that say, oh, Eric, you don't understand. I want to write a book, but I just don't have time. Oh, Eric, I'm sure you probably hear this too. Oh, I want to start a podcast, but I just don't have the time. The people we have on the podcast, they take away any excuse that anybody would have because they're just doing things that are just amazing, but they find the time and they discipline themselves. So that's, I would say, discipline and focus. I mean, that's kind of like the ongoing theme of every episode.
Okay. And what might be simple discipline advice or tips that you would promote or suggest?
Well, I would say the first thing you should do is really track how you're spending your time. Like literally, I would just get a sheet of paper and just start paying close attention to what you're doing. Because a lot of times when you say you don't have time, when you start really tracking it, you start to see where you're just wasting time. Maybe you're sitting there watching the news and hearing about the coronavirus, or you're doing something else unproductive. So I would say step one would be tracking your time. And then from there, really start to develop like routines. So when you start developing habits, it gets easier because now it's not something you have to think about. It's like you don't have to think about brushing your teeth every morning, right? It's a habit. It's a part of your routine. So if you start building and start small, that's the key thing too. Don't try to build in like 20 habits overnight. Pick one or two things. Okay, every morning when I wake up, I'm going to read for 10 minutes, right? And then before you know it, you don't have to even think about it. It's just a part of what you do. Just like brushing your teeth. When you wake up, you go sit in your chair and you read for 10 minutes. So those are some simple steps to get started to become more disciplined.
Yeah, that's good. I know my reading, I love reading, and I have a list of books and a Kindle. Yeah, I almost forgot the name of Kindle because I haven't picked it up for so long. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so certainly a habit I would like to get much more into. And it's a good idea. So a small task would be at a certain time. Okay, now this is my reading time. I'm going to read that.
Right.
Should I write it down on a calendar or something, or I don't know.
Well, you could do that. I mean, what helps me is so the night before I make a little list of things I have to do the following day. And so, that helps, like, believe it or not, just that helps to clear my head at night. Before, I'd be thinking at night about all my head would be so filled with different things I have to do, and it was hard for me to sleep. But when I can write down the night before what I have to do the following day, so that could be something. You could write, now I'm going to read 10 pages of the book. I'm going to So now it's there, and then you sleep better. And then it also helps you to come up with even better ideas because you may write down an idea for something that you're going to do. And then overnight, your subconscious starts working. Then you wake up with all these ideas. Oh, you know what? I could. So no, that would be my recommendation.
That's really good. That is really good. And just a couple of things. I'm in a group for the business work that I do. That's the Entrepreneurs Circle. It's based in Northern England, but Nigel Botterill is the founder of that. And it's I know they go to America a lot actually and take a lot of the best ideas and bring them back to the UK. And his golden rule is starting the day is I think he has signs up on his wall or on the door. These 2 hours in the morning, do not disturb unless there's a fire. or something like that. So he sticks to this very strict schedule. In the morning, first thing is his time, 2 hours, and you, from what I understand, no one does disturb, because it doesn't end very well. So he does stick to that religiously. I've got nothing like that, but it's I think very helpful for me to that discipline shtick, and structure. I I sometimes find I have so many different things going on, so many different business opportunities or ideas, that I seem to do far too many things at once, and I think need to step back and just prioritize really and plan.
Yeah. So, and I always say, a lot of times the issue, it isn't that you have too much to do. It's really that you don't know what to do next. Okay. That's really the key. And it sort of helps to prioritize and just really focus on what are the key things that you need to get done.
Yeah, that's good. And I suppose it can be obvious in a way, but certainly I find with money, so I have no money. Well, very little. And I find I'm constantly in this cycle of trying to get money I can from anywhere, just to do some of the basic things that I need to do. When I pause like this is because I realize I'm just kind of ranting and could just carry on rant. But any advice on prioritizing would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would say is to really get clear on what it is that you want first and foremost. So if you were to, step one, I would say think for a year from now, right? And I have people fast forward to the future. It is now April the 21st of 2021, and you're like, man, this is the best year I've ever had in my life. Man, it's been great. So what would need to happen for you to feel that way, right? So that's step one. So knowing what year from now where you want to be, and then I would walk it back and say, okay, what can I do within the next 12 weeks to get closer to where I want to be a year from now, right? So, let's say, I'm a best-selling author. A year from now, I'm going to be an author. It's going to be great. Oh, wow, wonderful. Okay. So now what can I do within the next 12 weeks? So the next 12 weeks, I'm going to write X and X words a day. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, so that's an example. So, and that helps you to kind of prioritize. And so when you're making decisions, when you're trying to figure out what should I do next? It should always go back to, okay, how is this getting me to my goal? Right. And then that helps you to say no, because people start coming up to you, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Hey, can you be on this committee? Well, now you can say, okay, well, how does this request, I want to be an author. So how does this chair this committee, how does that relate to being an author? Okay, it doesn't. So now I need to say no to that. So that's I think that's really the key. Clarity is a starting point of success. You get clear on what your goals are. And then, as you start, again, so you plan out 12 weeks at a time. And then, remember I talked about writing the goals for the next day. That ties into what you want to accomplish in the next 12 weeks. So now you're starting to really understand, okay, this is my priority. Hopefully I answered your question.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. And I think you said a very important thing, learning to say no. I think people find it very hard to say no. Some people, we have different family collections and different people who have different ways of getting us to do what they want. And I think learning to say no in the right way can be a very helpful thing. Do you have any advice on that? Or?
That is so important that I dedicated an entire chapter of the book to saying no. Chapter 6. I talk about saying no. And so the key is you have to remember that you're saying no to the request and not the person. So because we're afraid to say no, oh, it's going to hurt that person. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Oh, they're never going to ask me to do anything again. But so I teach people to, you start by thank them for the request. Hey, I'm humbled. I'm honored that you would think of me for this. But right now, I don't have the room to do it, and I don't want to do it halfway, and I don't have the room to do it at this time. And I always try to leave the door open to say, you know what, hey, down the road, some things could clear up. Or the other thing I'll do is I'll offer another solution. I may say, hey, have you thought of Joe? Joe has experience in this area. So that's the key thing. But the key thing is remembering that you're saying no to the request and not that person.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And yeah, it just makes me think of a phrase I used to say all of the time. It'll come back to me. I've forgotten what it was. It was, oh, I can't. It was just thanks for asking, but it was something like that.
That's good.
So, yeah, thank you for asking. But everyone knew it was a no. Very flattered by that. No, it's fascinating. And yeah, sorry, because I'm interested. Whereabouts are you in the States?
So I'm in Maryland, in the Maryland area, Clinton, Maryland. It's about 25 minutes outside of the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. So
right.
It's considered the Washington, D.C. metro area is where I am.
Okay. I'm just trying to think. I need a map of the States ready to. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like the White House and the Capitol. That's all in Washington, D.C. So like I said, I'm like 20 to 25 minutes away.
Okay. Oh yeah, so it's all happening there. I don't know. Well,
it is definitely happening. Yes.
No, it's interesting. Yeah, because I did spend time in America. I did traveling around, and I never went to Washington.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, it's all very interesting. And how do you? Yeah, what is it like now at the moment? I may have already asked, but how are you adjusting to this lockdown thing, or how are people responding?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, all of the non-essential businesses are closed at this point. And I know where I am, you have to wear a mask outside now, and to go into a retail establishment, that if it's an essential business, they won't let you in if you don't have a mask on. So it's changed things for sure.
Yeah, we've got the same here, I think. I think the masks is limited to health workers, but it does. I think they gradually try and say, okay, now you have to wear it on the train or things like that, or where there's public places. But it's just yet another thing that really infuriates me. And actually, I just want to rip them off people's faces, because I get quite angry, and I don't want to, because I know from everything I've read on the truth of this corona virus is it's really no different than the flu or a cold. I know people dispute that and people get upset about that. But I'm very interested in where this pandemic came from and what is the reason for it. I get very psychological or conspiratorial, let's say. I'm quite interested in the truth. So one of my takes I've seen in, I think it's Denmark, where they didn't have a lockdown. They were one of the more relaxed countries, and they have found that by letting it just kind of find its way out, which is what viruses do, they come in and then they go. And they managed to get back into work very quickly. So I think it's Denmark is held as a good example.
Yeah, but I think they had a high test percentage too. I think they tested a really like 10% of their population or something like that.
Okay.
So I think that don't pretend to be an expert on this, but I think they tested a very high percentage of their population. So that's part of the reason that they're living more of a normal lifestyle from what I'm hearing. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still at that stage where discussions with people, what are you going to do when we are free? Just thinking of the future of the world, what it was like when you could almost live normally.
I think it's going to be a new normal. Like, I think, yes, I think things will open up. I think we'll move past this, but I don't think it's going to be exactly the same. You know, I think people, I think initially people are going to still be guarded. You know, you're still going to have, I know they're talking about the restaurants initially when they open, you know, having, you know, social distancing requirements. They're going to only let a certain number of people in. So I think it's just necessary just to, as a business person, you have to think about how you're doing things and what ways you can reinvent yourself. And you're going to have to get creative. And you're going to have to do things that you might not have been comfortable with doing before. Like I told people that I work with, I coach, that say, oh, I'm not comfortable doing videos. I'm like, you need to get comfortable. You need to get over it like now, because everybody's on their phone. If they're locked in, they're paying close attention to the social media. So if you're doing a video and your competition isn't, you have a better chance of getting. So I think we have to make little adjustments like that.
Yeah, no, that's good, and that's sort of business advice that I've received as well. Actually, just every day getting into the routine of making a video. I haven't done it yet. I've done it occasionally. I suppose I'm still stuck in the sort of old school technique of writing a post, but yeah, it's on my things to do list and something to do more of. Make a video. And I think it just making that video, putting your face in front of people, and there's so many different ways to do it now, but it does really help build trust and rapport. People can actually see the thing, the person who has these products and ideas, and so it does help build relationship, I think.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. I mean, I saw something today that like CEOs and decision makers, they're 59% more likely to trust a video presentation over words written on like a blog or something like that. So definitely it builds trust. It's easy to share. And a lot of times, like on Facebook, you can do a video and it shows up with you in action. So they look up, they see you talking, they pull up their phone, they see you talking. All they have to do is hit the play button. You know, so definitely it's a way to get your message out much quicker and to really make an instant connection with someone.
Yeah. No, it's good. And so what are you working on at the moment? What's taking your main time?
So the big thing, so, we're doing the podcast, the 30-minute hour is the title of the podcast. And we've added a second show. So we do our show on Mondays at 7:00 Eastern time, where it's more traditional. We're interviewing the guest and talking about their book and their business and everything else. But we also, on Wednesdays at 6:00 Eastern, we have a show called the 30-minute hour live on lockdown.
Right.
Yeah, so it's designed to be an entertainment show. So we feature comedians, we have singers, we have like a nutrition person. It's funny, it's upbeat, So that person that's frustrated by the lockdown on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, they know that they can watch us. And it's kind of, and we talk about kind of the funny side of the lockdown. Like we talk about, for example, why is it that there's no toilet paper? Who's buying 20 rolls of toilet paper at a time? Those types of things that are kind of the funnier side of this lockdown. So those are the main things that I'm working on.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Just makes me think people really do need to find their humor. They really do have to laugh if they can.
Yeah.
I think generally, but in difficult times,
Right.
Having a comedic release is essential. It's compulsory.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. Well, that's what I will do when I take over the government. So
and think about this too. Everybody's watching the news, right? And you're just getting barraged with bad news and deaths, and there's no testing, and we don't know when this is going to end, blah, blah. So the average person, that's all they're doing is focused on the negativity. So our goal is to offset that. So instead of watching the news, you can take a break for an hour and laugh and, be entertained. And talk about, because we talk about the things that frustrate us about this whole pandemic, And you're like, oh, I thought that was just me. Yeah, okay, they're going to do that too.
No, that's great. So when is that? You say Wednesdays.
Yeah, so it's every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Eastern time, and it's on the 30-minute hour Facebook page.
Okay, so people find it. They need to go Facebook 30-minute hour.
Yeah, just type in the 30-minute hour. You'll see us. So we start right at 6 o'clock Eastern. When you go to the page, you'll see us talking. And you can also like the page and follow the page. So that way, when we do the next episode, you'll know it'll show up for you. You don't have to look for us.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. And is it is it a video that people watch? Can they contribute as well? Or
yeah, so we there's a chat. It's live, so it's live on Facebook in real time. We use Zoom. We actually have a DJ who plays music.
Right.
Oh yeah, and so you can actually type in comments, and then we pay attention to the comments that people type. So we'll talk about a topic about I'm sick and tired of whatever, and then people will add their comments. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of blah 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 blah, and we'll read them out loud. So yeah, it's interactive too. Yeah,
no, that sounds fantastic, and it's giving me ideas. So I'm loving this conversation because I have lots of ideas with comedy particularly. I did want to do more stand-up comedy. I've only done it a few times. I loved it. It was many years ago, but I'm in an environment now that isn't very easy for stand-up comedy. Or maybe I'm just kind of making my excuse for it. I think people are like the podcast you're doing. I think people are finding ways to get around it, and so it's something I will explore.
So one of my comedic guests here is F. William Samuel. He's a comedian here, and he does like a Zoom meeting every Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern. And he tells jokes, and people can watch, and he brings guest comedians on. So a lot of comedians are doing that. So that's an opportunity because people want to laugh. And if you present something that's going to be funny, people will again, there's just so much negative information. So I think that there's still, maybe you're not going into a comedy club and sitting there like you used to, but you can still, there's still ways to accomplish that virtually.
Oh yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. And I'll put it on my things to do list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have any list. All I have is a big bag of gloves at the moment that I was using for techno gadget Boar. He wears latex gloves that he hides anyway, but again, that's just a little outlet, something I have fun with. But, yeah, I love the idea of prioritizing the different things I can do, and it's very important to me and everyone, I think, because I get carried away. I get very excited by different things and different possibilities of things. Yeah, I can easily, fall into a procrastination trap, really, if it's called that, of, taking on too many things that aren't really that important. But, yeah, then becoming sort of live animals themselves and running the show. I don't know. Yeah, as you say, it's been absolutely fantastic talking with you. And I think you've said the best place for people to find you is that right? Your website or?
So now you can go to the 30-minute hour just to check out the podcast. But as far as getting my book, The Discipline of Now, which I just happen to have right here, you can go to my website, thedisciplineofnow.com.
Oh, okay.
Right. You go right there, and it's in paperback. It's on ebook. It's in Kindle format, and it's also an audio version, an audio as well.
Okay. That sounds fantastic. Yeah, I'm going to have to get a copy. I look forward to reading that. I really have enjoyed our conversation. It is motivating. I guess that's kind of the idea, but it really is. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed talking with you, and yeah, I wish you all the best. Yeah, good luck.
Hey, thank you for having me on the show. I've enjoyed it. I've had a blast. I hope your listeners were inspired by the message. Just again, focus. The big takeaway: focus on the opportunity, not the obstacle.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Very, very true. And that's when I get all philosophical about why is this happening. But yeah, very, very true. Focus on what we can do, really.
Exactly.
And
absolutely
find ways to maneuver ourselves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's great. Lovely to meet you, and take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I look forward to tuning into one of those podcasts and finding out more.
Come check us out, the 30-minute hour. We'd love to give you a shout out from England. That'd be awesome.
Cool. Of course, I like the name. It's an oxymoron.
Right.
You can't have a 30-minute hour. I know that's part of the fun, but
right.
Yeah, makes it memorable. No, that's good. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, wanting to shake your hand, but obviously I'm quite limited. But yeah, lovely talking to you. Take care, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Yeah, cheers. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
And now it's time for some hilarious comedy on Everyman Radio.
This fantastic techno gadget bore show is proudly sponsored by webscontent.com. Fast, secure and reliable.
Fast, secure and reliable web hosting from Web's Content.
Hi.
You got skills.
Yeah, I know. Welcome to the Techno Gadget Boss Show. Last week, I fell in love with Emma.
Hi Mr. Technogadget Boar, this is Emma. I've been checking you out for a while now and you look like just the right hot guy I need.
And I sent her a message and I haven't heard back yet, but I will keep trying. Persistence is a good thing. I will not procrastinate and I will get in touch with her. But I have a wallet. It's not very techno-gadget boring, but I think I can put a picture of Emma into my wallet. So first I need to print it. So that is what I'm going to do. Yeah, so I have an idea. And my idea is I'll print in a little bit. I think I have to turn on my printer. I now search the interwebs for turning on a printer. Actually, it's very difficult to find how to turn on a printer. But I will see if there's a video I can find on the YouTubes that will help me.
The first thing we want to do is turn the printer on, so press the power button.
Thank you, Mango. So, let's just say it will be a work in progress. And if you have any questions for me, Mr. Techno Gadget Boar, please get in touch. I'll always help you with questions. And Emma, please can you get in touch, please? We've only just met, but I love you, Emma. And thank you very much for watching Techno Gadget Boar Show. Be sure to tune in next week for more fun and facts and computer tips.
It's a brand new sound for radio.
Close our eyes, the current sweeps right over us. Feel the world spin round again for only us. Hold your breath, we're diving into something bigger than anything we've ever been. Love be lighthouse, so to lead you home. Stars and the moon illuminating every road. place where you belong. Always safe inside my arms. It has been there all along. Let this love lead you home. Love be a lighthouse, so to lead you home. Stars in the moon illuminating every road. All through the seasons, no matter where we go. Your love is a lighthouse, so to lead me home.
Thank you for listening to Everyman Radio. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends on social media.
Goodbye.